Thanks for staying with us this morning. We're at the Wheat Innovation Center. We're joined by Aaron. Aaron, thanks for joining us this morning. We're closing out 2016, getting ready to get ready for 2017. And 2016 was a good year for Kansas wheat farmers.
I think one of the best ever. We set record yield per bushel per acre, 57 bushels per acre. So farmers did an outstanding job managing the crop, and then we got some help with the weather. It was just perfect and ideal. So it led to a huge harvest, one of the biggest in Kansas history. And that presented some problems. The fact that we have too much wheat here and around the world, large piles of ground on the ground all around the state right now. So we're trying to build some marketplaces, and of course, when you've got that big of a supply, the price has just really been depressed lately. So farmers struggling this year to make money on that. Those high yields did help in a lot of locations. You know, our yield contest for the first time, all three winners in the different three regions were above 100 bushels an acre. So something really to be proud of, I think.
Well, and you bring up a very important topic, which is markets, opening new markets for Kansas wheat and U.S. wheat for that instance. Cuba being one of those markets. I mean, it is 90 miles off the coast. It is a natural tie for Kansas wheat farmers.
And a great potential market for Kansas wheat, as well as other commodities and other businesses, but especially wheat. We really, as you said, have potentially a huge market there. On a year like this would have made a huge impact, being able to send some of our wheat to Cuba. Prices are so low right now that we're priced in almost every market around the world. The only thing working against us is the higher price of the dollar. The strength of the dollar makes our exports a little bit more expensive. But with Cuba, I think there's a lot of unknowns. We don't know how President-elect Trump necessarily is going to handle that situation, but some of the export restrictions have been lessened up by the Obama administration. But the real hurdle with wheat exports is Cuba not being able to get credit. They have to pay with cash, and so that's something that's going to have to be changed before we see much progress in that.
Well, not only that, but you brought up another topic, which is we're not the only country in the world that produces wheat. We produce the best wheat in the world, but we're not the only ones. There's a lot on the world market right now.
You know, it's night and day difference from when it was 20 or 30 years ago when we were one of the handful of exporters in the world, but now there are so many countries that compete with us. It's a global marketplace. We're competing against Russia, Europe, Australia, Canada, Argentina, just to name a few. And so we've had some really good global crops recently, and so we really need kind of the pendulum to swing the other way, and that's happening a little bit right now. The quality of the European crop is poor. The Canadian crop was getting hampered by weather. The Australian crop is hampered by weather a little bit. So things are starting to happen, and then we'll just have to see what it looks like for our crop next year.
Perfect. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how you can help Kansas wheat farmers. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. We'll see you in just a minute.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Thanks for staying with us. We're at the Kansas Wheat Innovation Center over in Manhattan, Kansas. We're joined by Aaron. And Aaron, as we're finishing out 2016 or coming into the early part of 2017, everybody has an opportunity to really help a Kansas wheat farmer out, and that's by making a charitable donation to the Wheat Innovation Center and some of the research that goes on here.
Exactly right. You know, farmers support their own industry through their checkoff, which pays 2 pennies on every bushel of wheat grown in the state. But now we have a vehicle where businesses and individuals can give tax-deductible gifts to research. That's the Kansas Wheat Commission Research Foundation. It's a nonprofit entity, and it helps us fund research that goes on here in the Kansas Wheat Innovation Center, but also at Kansas State University. So when we built this beautiful innovation center, we've been here 4 years now, believe it or not. We set up this research foundation and sold naming right opportunities in the building for gifts to that research foundation. And we raised $1.4 million just in that initial round of naming rights. But now, as we're getting towards the end of the year and people are thinking about gifting and thinking about their tax situation, might be a good time to consider making a tax-deductible gift to the Research Foundation. And we still do have some naming rights opportunities available here in the building, so if folks are interested in a substantial gift, they can just contact us and ask about that.
And not only that, you brought up something when you first started explaining that Kansas wheat farmers pay 2 cents per bushel. A lot of the other commodities, not only in Kansas but across the U.S., only pay 1 cent. So Kansas wheat farmers are really making an effort to generate that revenue to further research. I mean, because it really goes back into the ground, I guess you might say.
It's a huge investment. It's just like a line item on their budget, just fertilizer, labor, and equipment, advocacy, marketing, and research is right there, and that's what they pay through the checkoff. And we do leverage that funding. We use that money that we raise through the Research Foundation and through the checkoff, and we've gotten millions of dollars of grants from the federal government and other entities because we can match that money that we raise through the checkoff and the Research Foundation.
And as we're coming into 2017, drilling going on, or we're almost done with getting wheat into the ground. Acres up, you think, this year?
I think acres will be down just because of the market situation. What the question is, how substantially down? I think we'll be below 8 million acres planted for the first time in many, many years.
Right. But if you look at the amount of bushels that we get off each acre that we plant now.
Yeah,
so.
If farmers do as good a job as they did this year with the yield, that shouldn't be too much of a problem.
Perfect, Aaron. It's good to see you. You're watching Kansas Ag Report, and we'll see you in just a minute. If you would like to advertise your business on Kansas Ag Report, give us a call, 785-580-3287.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
I will take action against herbicide-resistant weeds. I will know my weeds, and I will stop them before they go to seed. I will do whatever it takes to give my crops the upper hand, and I will use multiple herbicide sites of action because every action counts. I will take action, this time for all time.